We spend about 1/3 of our lives asleep. Relaxed, unaware of ourselves, inactive. We need this time to reset, to recharge our batteries. We need to sleep in order to be whole, to be lively and fruitful. Up to 1/3 of our lives sleeping. Do you think God cares about what we do with a full 1/3 of our lives? God gave us Sabbath because He knew our tendency to overdo it. And God modeled Sabbath for us by taking a rest Himself after His busy work and His creative labors. God gives us Sabbath as a gift. It's a covenant made with us because we have something to gain. It fulfills for us a need. Sabbath helps us refocus our attentions on what matters the most. It helps us rest one day a week so we can flower and we can have vigor and we can have life on the other 6. Sabbath helps us be strong and vigorous where God calls us to produce. God gave Sabbath to the earth too. We call it winter. There isn't much to see here in the parsonage yard at the moment, in our so-called Victory Garden. It's lying dormant, covered in a blanket of snow, sleeping, resting in its own way. But that doesn't mean that there isn't anything happening. Under the snow and the soil, the bulbs are developing inwardly. They need the freezing conditions and the Sabbath of winter so they can be on the front lines of spring, the first to tell the good news of Easter, like the women who were the first to find Jesus' empty tomb. In the Old Testament, God told the people to let the entire land lay fallow for 2 years in a row. 2 years out of every 50, they were to plant no crops, plow no ground. The land needed to rest. It was called the Jubilee, a time of rest and resetting, a time of celebration. Rest and resetting is a good thing. Psalm 127 tells us that God grants sleep to those He loves. It's the beginning of Lent, a time when we try to do some reconsidering and try to establish some new routines. I wonder what would happen if rather than giving up chocolate bars or giving up meat on Fridays, if instead we spent these 40 days of Lent being careful to get enough rest. I mean, what if we didn't watch TV after 9 o'clock? And what if we read the Bible for 30 minutes before bed? What if we were careful not to snack after supper or to drink alcohol? These are all things that tinker with our ability to sleep well. What if we were careful not only to observe Sabbath 1 day a week during Lent, but paid real attention to the daily Sabbath that we've been given every day for these 40 days? What if it became for us a kind of a spiritual discipline? Would we be less grouchy? Would we be more productive? Would we have more peace? Would we come to know God in a new sort of way? The Bible tells us that God knows about our habits. He's familiar with our going out and with our lying down. And sometimes we get so busy, we're so overextended that we're afraid of slowing down. We fear resting too much lest we fall behind. And this isn't a young person, old person thing either. I mean, we hardly know who we are apart from our routines and apart from our busyness, even if they're not life-giving, even if they're not bringing us fulfillment and vigor. Jesus said, "Come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And He said, "Take my yoke upon you. Take up my ways. Follow my lead, and you will find rest for your souls." And it's not just physical respite either, but relief from the things that would burden us. Things like anger, anxiety, and guilt, and our need to control, and our feelings of unworthiness. When we rest in Christ's care, it allows us to keep our feet on the ground. We cultivate a quiet heart. We're like a baby content in its mother's arms. This lying fallow, this trusting in and enjoying the presence of God is called winter for the garden. Our lying down and giving ourselves to the spiritual discipline of rest is called Sabbath for us. It's another way of experiencing God's life-giving gift of grace. May these 40 days be for us a time of renewal and rest, a time of jubilee and celebration of God's goodness. May we know that life is building and budding within us, and it's already there just under the surface, just like life is there just beneath the surface of the February snow. In these 40 days, may we reclaim Sabbath. And like a child nestled in its mother's arms, like a seed cradled within the earth, like a flower swaddled within the bulb, may we know the closeness and the bounty and the warmth of our Creator.